Nothing else in my entire life has ever been as powerful.
The moment I saw that community, I was like, that's what I want to be a part of.
The point is just to have fun and let it all out, just go wild.
Nothing else has ever really mattered, and nothing has made me passionate more than being a musician.
Everyone gets inspired. That's how it starts. You go to a show with your friends, you're like, this guy's killing it. You think we could do that?
Freshman year we came in, there were like a lot of like big bands. There's like, oh, Young Jesus, they're huge. Oh, these bands, they're huge. It wasn't really a community, it was more of like, shoot, I wish I could be like them someday.
And then they all graduated, and it kind of went, there was a little, period where, we were all kind of like, what's gonna happen? We didn't know. But, well, what was there, it was me and some of my friends who were in some bands, and we're like, well, we might as well just start playing some shows. And
I feel like the community started when all these like smaller bands got to know each other kind of at the Yo. The Yo was like the hub for meeting. We'd play shows, we'd get to know each other.
It was Too Far to Fall was the band Chris was in, and they rocked.
We had Too Far to Fall freshman year, then Too Far to Fall junior year. It changed completely.
It was seeing bands like that just knew how to rock a show that inspired me so much. And after that, Chris was in Youngest Brother. The night I met Chris was the night he found out I played saxophone, and the night he was like, you're in. And I'm like, what? He goes, the band. What band? Earl's Pearls.
That was just like, the whole idea was we just like let anyone in the band. It was a completely open band.
It was just the biggest ragtag group of people.
Just like, hey, do you play sax? You're in the band, and all these different things. And that's how I met Kevin. And Kevin's been like a huge part of growing this community.
And I had just played saxophone at that point, but watching that guy play, it was inspiring. So I talked to my dad asking if I could borrow his acoustic guitar from the 70s, and he's like, you can just have it. And I was like, awesome. So pretty soon after, the next summer, I started my own band, Disco Lemonade, and we were horrible. It was god awful. Towards the end, we got better, and then we disbanded. I had been writing songs on acoustic guitar, like folk songs, for a while, and I just, decided to put a band behind it. So.
How's it going, everybody? It's Kevin Conroy in the band. I'm Kevin Conroy. Aaron over here is the band, and Charlie is Aaron.
Yeah, it was called Kevin Conroy in the band. I'm not like full of myself, but it was right at the end of high school. I knew I'd be going to college. And I knew the lineup would keep changing, and I didn't want to have to keep changing the name of it and getting new fan bases and making like Facebook pages and stuff like that. So, and we're just looking like the goal right now is just have as much fun playing shows as possible. I can totally see like the kids that like are my age at the time, like kids that are freshmen now, 8th grade, freshmen and sophomores that are coming. If they see these guys play, they're likely to feel the same thing as I did. And I think it's an end. it's just an endless cycle, you know, inspiration. I mean, you know, you've got right now Logan Mounts is playing, and you know, he's been in all sorts of bands and they rock it.
Somebody help me sing. Can anybody hear me?
My name is Logan Mounts. I perform as a solo artist under the name L Mounts. I also played a band called Palestrina, and I also played a band called Love Capacity.
It was probably my freshman year. I would see this great singer-songwriter called Logan Mounts, and I have no idea where he is right now. He plays shows at the Warming House and the Winnetka Yo, and he was pretty much the only guy from my grade who was doing that at the time, because everyone else playing at the Yo and Warming House were like way older than us. So I thought that was like pretty neato. Through playing at the Yo, I met my good friends Kevin Conroy and Chris Letard.
When I was a freshman and just starting to play shows, I had instantly made friends with all the senior musicians that were playing. Everybody was so into each other's music, and I think it opened a lot of people up to maybe some styles of music that they weren't super familiar with. Early 2011, there's a band called Cosmic that's got some dudes in it, and two ladies. They break up. They want a new singer, they want to change the direction of the band, they call me in, and that eventually formed Crocodile Children, which is probably, maybe not the most well-known project that I did, but definitely one that I think was probably the best received.
In the studio part of the city, where the sun refuses to shine.
We played a lot of shows. I think people really liked what we were doing. Again, we played almost 2.5 years together as a four-piece. It was super fun. I was having a great time doing it. Everybody seemed to like it. Musically, it got to a point where it just wasn't really working with how I was feeling about the band, and not necessarily where I wanted it to go, but myself and the other main songwriter of the band, Jordan Szymanski, one of the best guitar players that I've ever seen. Him and I had very different approaches and writing styles, so I made the decision to leave the band, let them do their own thing. I kind of had a side project called The Ransom, who played for about 1.5 years. It was just a two-piece duo. That project was super fun. I don't think people received it as well. We were a lot heavier than Crocodile Children, a lot more raw. But it was fun. That was a really fun project. That evolved into the BCDC, which was myself and Will, the drummer for The Ransom, Tony, the bassist for Crocodile Children. We played 2 shows. Me and Will and Tony all kind of talked. It just wasn't working dynamically. So I stuck to the solo thing for a while. I just kind of kept doing that. It was easiest. You know, it just made sense. Honestly, I was really good at making my own recordings. And come the start of senior year, myself and Johnny from Palestrina and a couple other people were talking about how we really noticed a decline in the local music scene. Not as many people were coming out to the shows. It was harder to find bands to play shows. The audience was always very inconsistent throughout all the shows.
During my freshman year, that community was probably at its highest point. I wasn't really a part of it back then, but I would just go to concerts at the Yo, and there'd be like 5 or 6 bands playing every night, and you'd have like crowds of over like 125 people at a time. You'd always have people who go to the shows, from what I could remember. Then after that, it kind of got quiet for a while. You'd see some small bands pop up from time to time. Disco Lemonade, The Ransom, some bands like that play at the Yo.
We were like, well, we need to kind of bring it back. We need to start doing some other stuff. So right at the beginning of senior year is when Johnny and I started Palestrina. Mostly doing solo stuff. He had a couple projects with Patrick, the drummer from Crocodile Children, but him and Michael and Ben and himself went to form Party Box.
I've been writing songs for about 4 years, but I only started participating in the community about a year ago when I joined Party Box, which is me, Michael Molitor, John, and Patrick Steinman. And that's when I really got the courage and to start pursuing music publicly.
And we started meeting new people, just in the community and around town and stuff. And that turned into Party Box. For me, every single practice and any single bit of progress we made was such an uplifting part of my life.
Patrick Steinman, ladies and gentlemen.
You guys played a bunch of shows. Alstrina's playing a bunch of shows. And Jordan from Crocodile Children formed Nagasaki Watchmen with his friends Matt and Jakey.
Nagasaki Watchmen started when Crocodile Children ended. The singer quit. He said he didn't like the direction that we were going in, and honestly, I did not like the direction we were going in. Jakey was the drummer, the sit-in drummer for Crocodile Children for a few months when Patrick had to leave.
In terms of playing with bands, Nagasaki Watchmen is like the first real band I've been in. I mean, the real only veteran band member of our band is Jordan, who's been in various projects.
Jordan was in Crocodile Children, and they were awesome, and I went to all their shows. And I always wanted to be in the band, but it just never happened.
I was the temporary drummer for Crocodile Children, but I felt less like a drummer of Crocodile Children and more of a temporary drummer of Crocodile Children, so I didn't feel like I got the full, experience.
I really enjoyed when Jakey was drumming, and so and Jakey and Matt and I had made like a bunch of artistic endeavors in the past, which included being actually in a band together called The Crime and the Glory at Camp Music Tech, that is Rock and Roll Day Camp, and also included our making comedy videos and posting them on YouTube under the name Rawson Comedy.
And then when Crocodile Children broke up, me and Jordan were like, let's start a band now. Because, I play bass and Jordan plays guitar and Jakey plays drums, and he wasn't in a band either.
Seems like we got a bassist, we got a drummer, and we got a guitar. My band's not here anymore. It seemed like the only logical next step was to form a band.
One day they said, hey, do you want to make music with us? And I was like, oh, I only know how to play drums. And they go, but drums is music. And that's why I said, you know what, you're right. I can play drums.
We just got together, and we didn't think it was going to be as good as it was when we got together the first time. But the first time we jammed was awesome. It rocked.
There was never really a decision made. It just sort of happened.
We have to bring this back. This is something that's really important to us, and this is something that I think should be important to the rest of the community. Between Party Box and Palestrina and Nagasaki Watchmen, it's kind of how all those three bands were born, basically with the purpose of trying to revive the music scene that we saw dying out.
It's a good time to be in a band right now. The originality of it, the variety of different sounds you'll hear between different bands.
We're not a very musically homogenous community. There's lots of different styles going on. Everyone's pursuing their own passion, but for some reason it all works together, and it's really inspiring and creative.
There's no real two bands in this scene that sound exactly the same as each other. Sometimes in a music scene you'll have one band start a sound and then everyone else will be like, we want to sound exactly like that. And then you hear like 12 different versions of the same band. I think this is a lot different because there's no one trend within music, I think, anymore.
Like, there's no scene, there's no really, like, scene anymore.
It's not like, oh, this is grunge era now, or this is like psychedelic. This is like, everyone's kind of free to choose what they want to do and start their own.
It kind of gives the musician a lot more freedom, I guess, to choose what sort of music they really enjoy the most, and to kind of pursue that and take kind of like influences from all over the place.
There's a lot more liberation in the music. Me and Logan's band, it's kind of like punk oriented, like alternative rock. But then like Jordan's band is more like a math rock and sounds very different than us, but we still play at the same shows.
Acts Like a Watchman are doing their freaking, noise, math. They're so talented. I can't speak enough good about those guys.
You know, I think for the community to be as prosperous as it is, or as booming as it is, it really requires a lot of people to be accepting of each other, accepting of different styles of music.
People play music because they're passionate about it, and they support people who play music because they're passionate about it.
You know, they were very accepting of new acts, like I just started this year, and everyone seems to be very accepting of me. No one's ever put me down or said, you know, go home.
It just ends up being this giant love fest of everyone being like, dude, that was awesome, you rocked it, and everyone's like just like super supported by each other. It's just a very positive community, I think.
It's a very nurturing environment. Everybody's really encouraging and really into whatever you're doing, which is really cool.
While there's some competition between the acts, I think it's really collaborative as well. Everyone's trying to make sure everyone's, you know, as prepared for the show as possible. Everyone will help you and allow you to borrow their stuff if you need to.
I think the one thing that has always been really apparent in our music scene is that everybody has always been so accepting of everybody else. And no matter how many people have, I don't want to say like dropped out of the scene, but no matter how many people like didn't show up for shows, every band would support every band no matter what.
I love our concerts. I've always had such a fun time here. And it's, like I said, it's been so supportive. It's always, you know, teens that want to stick around and listen to each other. It's been a lot of encouragement. And it's just been a really great community that's kind of, you know, close-knit, but always open to having other musicians come and to try new things and to make new bands.
I can't climb up your ladder. I can't ride your horse.
Yellow open mic nights are a really great way to preview your new material. I think a lot of the songwriters from the area go to them just to show each other their material, have fun. You know, it's mostly songwriters who go. It's a great place to just show what you've written recently, get some feedback, kind of work stuff out in a live setting. It's really a great way to, you know, figure out what songs you like and what songs you don't like.
We really try and make sure there's opportunities for all different kinds of musicians to play, for musicians that are experienced in doing concerts to play a full set with their band, or, you know, for a team who just learned how to play guitar and wants to try it out at an open mic night.
My favorite venue to perform has always been Lonakiyo. There's just like such a feeling of being at home in that space, and then to be able to perform there, to be performing with people who around, like with a really close friend, which is Logan, and then like with people in the audience who I'm already close friends with, and then new people who I haven't met before, who I can become friends with because of the music. Because a lot of the musicians in the scene met each other through the Lonakiyo. I don't know, it really fosters a sense of community. It's kind of like a capital for the local scene where people don't have to worry about differences that much, because it's like the one thing that ties us all together.
'Cause every time that I try to change my life, I've come to realize this my mind, it needs to be changed.
kind of have our own little scene going where everyone's kind of inspiring each other and collaborating. There are lots of places to play, like the Yo and the Winnetka, or the Yo and the Wilmette thing.
You got the Yo and the Warming House. Those are the main community outlets. You've also got the Oasis in Grayslake, but no one likes that. From there, the more local places are the DIY places. Love Shack, Karl Marx The Spot, Vladimir Putin on the Ritz, RIP, no longer anything. Then you've got the big venues in the city, like Sub T, Bottom Lounge, Reggie's Rock Club. That's if you get lucky or you get scammed, you play in those places. And then other than that, you can play charity concerts and benefit them.
There's this certain rush of being up on stage and everyone's watching you and you're playing this song that you wrote, and when you just like nail the part and the audience is just like, whoa, that you can like feel it on stage. It's like a really great feeling.
You know, there's nothing more rewarding than playing with a bunch of people you like, a song you like, maybe a song you wrote, writing together. You know, I like the collaborative aspect of it, as well as I just love the joy of playing music and playing music live.
There's a big fat lump in my heart and it's starting to show.
Every song is an individual process. Sometimes you contribute some lyrics, sometimes you contribute the chord progression. But I think, you know, if you write with someone else, no matter what, you're going to get a unique product.
The best songs are usually the ones that are the simplest. While the music itself might not be like super simple, like in structure, like verse, chorus, verse, and like 3 chords, the more effort you kind of exert to make a song sound better, the less authentic and thus the less like good it will be. Like if you like get an idea and you kind of like, and the song kind of writes itself in like 20 minutes, that's some of the best songs that you can write. As everybody does, like they write about what they know, like events that are happening at the time, like kind of disguised to something that's a little more universal, or allusions to books I'm reading at the time, which is why Great Books was a fantastic class for me.
So normally Jordan writes the songs, and he'll send us a demo of him playing the song in just like a guitar or piano, and then we'll get together and we'll just start playing it, and we'll just figure it out. That's like the whole thing. We discuss what we want to do and if we want to put an interesting sample, and if we want to, you know, some of the songs we decide to leave as instrumentals and some we add lyrics to.
Well, I'm not usually a very collaborative songwriter. I usually write on my own, come up with my own ideas, my own musical ideas. And then I like to present those ideas to a group and have that group interpret them in their own way.
Bridge again.
I think it goes. Sometimes it's great to get that extra voice in, or that extra, you know, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Why don't we, why don't you, why don't you do?
So with our band, it's really pretty much 2 different styles. 'Cause I write about half the songs that are on the album, and Logan writes the other half.
My process differs a little from Johnny's, just in the sense that I never have one set way that I write a song.
When I write songs, it usually comes from me just like jamming on the guitar and then hearing something that sounds kind of cool. I'll like kind of embellish on that, and then if I'm lucky, words will just kind of come to me. I like to keep the lyrics kind of as simple as possible without going like too complicated.
Either I'll get a title for a song or like an idea, a subject, maybe like one line, maybe a couple lines for a chorus, and then I'll kind of branch off.
Yeah, I don't really choose like a topic before I go into writing a song, which I think is different than a lot of songwriters. I don't sit down saying I'm gonna write a song about this. I sit down and I play some guitar, and then I'm like, oh, this sounds cool, these lyrics are coming to me. Then I found out, oh, what they're about later. recording, the songwriting process becomes even more intense because then it's like we think about things like backup vocals, adding a bass track, you know, adding secondary guitar parts in that we can't really do live because we're only a two-piece band.
Guess I'm still just trying to figure this out.
The recording process is,
Yes,
at least for in the case of Palestrina, we've been recording vocals and drums live into a Shure SM58 through a small mixing board, and we've been doing all, and acoustic guitar for that as well. And we've been doing all guitar and bass just directly through a little USB switcher straight into the GarageBand program and recording straight into that. So we got, you know, kind of a multitude of effects for us to work with, and kind of giving us the most defined sound on every single track.
The songwriting process becomes more enriching in the studio, I think.
And also just like listening to the stuff on record, like hearing these songs that we've been working on for the past 6 months finally come to fruition with a bunch of different, you know, bass and guitar and vocal parts. Though we've been playing these songs for so long, it's almost like we're hearing them for the first time. And that's one of the coolest things I can take away from this.
I want to stick Out of Mind back in there. Like, I'm cool with Warm Feeling, like it's a baby of mine, but I will sacrifice it for I Don't Mind.
But we don't want to do either. Things are looking a little tense right now. I think there's a little air of, whether we can really pull together and make something really great in the studio with the time and the resources we have. I think that if we practice a lot and we really get some of these songs down, it's going to sound good. I think that there's also another chance that the fact that we've never been in the studio is going to greatly change how we play our music now that we know that we're being recorded, and it's going to affect us, and we're just going to see how that works out.
I think the recording process will be a little stressful, especially since we're going to do it as a band instead of doing it one at a time, which I think is better. I think it'll get our energy across better, but it might be a little harder to get it right. Before this, we've always been a live band, and a lot of playing live is like, you can do whatever you want as long as you're like playing the songs. You can like add licks in, like experiment, and it's whatever. But in the studio, you have to have the part down.
It's 6:34 p.m. and we've been at the studio. Here, look at that little painting of Nagasaki Watchman right there. It's currently 6:34 p.m. and we've been at the studio since 9:45, and you can hear kind of through the walls that it's been awesome. I was told by a gazillion people that everything was going to take way longer than expected, and you're going to get frustrated, and that like things are going to go the way you want. I've been told that by like 5 people, and I was like a little scared and nervous for today. But it's been so fun. We've just been playing through, we've only had to do about 2 or 3 takes of each song, and everything just sounds so good. And our engineer we got here, Jeff, is just so nice.
Today is day 1 of the 1 day we have to record. We're about 7 hours in. We're doing the vocals right now for our song People. Jordan's in the booth right now.
Killing it.
He's killing it.
I thought it was going to be really stressful being in the studio and having to record all like 9 songs in such a limited time, but it has been really kind of relaxing. We just went in, we played.
It's because we've been playing too much. We've like played all of our songs so many times that it was just like natural. We just hit it in one shot.
This is definitely the most successful year for local music since like I said, our freshman year. I think there's a lot more people coming out to shows. There's a lot of new people coming out to shows that weren't coming out to shows before, just because there's a larger variety of artists playing now.
I think there's still hope for the future for next year. You know, my brother's gonna play with his band, hopefully.
As far as the future, I think that there are a lot of hidden gems within, you know, the younger classmen that are just kind of waiting for the right opportunity to show up.
And more bands will come. We gotta get more of the New Trier fan community to come, because there are bands in New Trier who've never heard of Philadelphia, and that's a problem, because we need all the musicians we can get.
You know, there are sophomores and juniors right now that really, really want to push themselves to play, but like I said, like they've never heard of the Yo, like they don't really know like how to get themselves out there. So I think it's just going to be it's going to be a matter of not necessarily the number of artists, because I don't think we're going to have a problem with that. I think it's going to be more of putting them in the right directions.
I mean, there's always going to be people, you know, our age that, you know, have a guitar lying around and pick it up and play and start a band. I think there's always going to be young bands here. Yeah, I'm not worried at all for what the future has in store for the music scene here.